Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to explain an adventure anime series called Tensei Kenjya no Isekai Life, released in 2022. This series tells the story of Yuuji Sano, who inadvertently accepts being summoned to another world. Now, he has to get back to the mountain of work he left behind. But before we begin, beware of the spoilers. The first episode of this show opens with Yuuji, who is an adventurer in the village of Fastin. Due to his classification as a Monster Tamer, he is assumed by most to be weak and is often overlooked. But in secret, he is a very powerful sorcerer known as a sage. Later on, many monsters attack the village and Yuuji helps the other adventurers mount a defense. Tracking the monsters with his multiple tamed slimes, as well as his wolf monster Proud Wolf and forest spirit Dryad, Yuuji is able to protect the village with a barrier and destroy the monsters with dragon's fire by feeding a dragon bone to one of his slimes. His other slimes capture the man responsible, a member of a cult called Blue Moon of Salvation. The cultist, however, commits suicide after being captured, leaving behind a magical lantern he used to control the monsters. Under Yuuji's command, he orders some of the slimes on Proud Wolf's back to assist Gale's team on the front. Using his spell transfer skill, Yuuji has the slimes kill the oncoming monsters and proves Gale's story from earlier that Day is accurate. Yuuji then concocts a plan to erect a barrier around the town that'll also be enchanted with the dragon fire. He then orders the eavesdropping Lily to have Aegis recall Gale and the other adventurers back into the town. Furthermore, he orders Dryad's team to retreat underground. Back in the town, Lily does what Yuuji said, and all but Gale and Rezin stand and fight against a giant monster. Proud Wolf then attacks the monster's neck, takes it down, and leads Gale and Rezin inside the town. Wasting no time, Yuuji erects the barrier and uses the Dragonfire spell, Hellfire Demise, to eliminate nearly all of the monsters. Succumbing to MP Overdraw, Yuuji still erects another barrier and casts Hellfire Demise again to eradicate the monsters and faints due exhausting all of his energy. Afterward, Yuuji awakens in a room somewhere with Lily and his slimes. Yuuji recalls his previous life, and without warning, he leaves the town without a trace, not wanting to cause a scene. The following day, Lily informs Aegis about Yuuji's disappearance, and Lily spots a dirty lantern-like magic stone holder on Aegis' desk. Aegis notes that it belongs to the cult that has been talked about in the past. Unbeknownst to the two, a slime was eavesdropping on their conversation, and Surapaki reports that they're close to their destination, a new town. Here, the first episode of this series ends. The second episode opens with Yuuji, who reaches his intended destination, Killia, and he purchases meat for his tamed monsters from a butcher. As the monsters enjoy the meat, the sound of a bell resonates around the town. Yuuji then learns from the butcher that the bell sounds originated from the church where a priest from the central city came from. Afterward, Yuuji goes to the local adventurers guild to register there. Initially, the receptionist hesitates to allow Yuuji to join the guild, but clears him to join after seeing he has an enemy tracking skill. Reviewing the jobs on the guild board, Yuuji is approached by the adventurers Rhodys, Eris, and Lisa, who offers to join their party because of his tracking skills. Although Rhodys is reluctant to allow Yuuji to join because he's a tamer, Tina and Lisa note his shaky past with other parties he was affiliated with. So, as a compromise, Tiny and Lisa promise not to kick Rhodys out if he agrees to allow Yuuji into their party, and he agrees. As the group head to their destination, a flashback shows the group accessing their job of locating an earth dragon. Back in the present, Proud Wolf with several slimes on his back scout ahead and report a pack of 5 wolves. The group then heads forward, and Rhodys deals with the monster wolves. Although the slimes could have handled the monsters, Yuuji wanted to gauge his companion's capabilities. That night they camp by a riverside, and Lisa and Tina try to pry Yuuji about his enemy tracking skills. However, Rhodys cuts in, suggests they get some rest, and delegates the turns they'll be taking of who'll be watching and sleeping. As they sleep, Yuuji dreams of falling asleep as a Sailorman but waking up in the world of a game he was playing as a novice tamer. Despite his confusion, he tamed several slimes and immediately discovered the disused hut of a deceased sorcerer. He found that as the slimes read the sorcerer's book collection, he instantly gained all the skills and knowledge from the books and within minutes gained the title of sage. Awakening, he finds Rhodys is missing. Tracking him, they follow Rhodys to a bandit camp and learn Rhodys is a bandit who lures adventurers to kidnap and sell into slavery. Yuuji freezes the bandits' camp in solid ice, and the girls realize one of the bandits is Gelios, an infamous bandit and cult member with a substantial price on his head. Yuuji realizes the Blue Moon cult was behind the attack at Faston and appears concerned about a cryptic claim Gelios made about a future calamity. Here this episode ends. The third episode opens with Yuuji as he continues tracking the rock dragon with Tina and Lisa. The moon and sky suddenly turn blue, as foretold by the cultist prophecy, and a blue dragon appears, forcing them to shelter in nearby Delight Canyon. The rock dragon emerges and blocks Yuuji, Tina, and Lisa from going further. With the slimes, Yuuji uses a powerful fire spell to burn the earth dragon so only its skeleton remains. With the dragon skull and the bounty on Gelios, the guild pays them 14 million gold. Afterward, at the Adventurers Guild, Yuuji's group reports the defeat of the Earth Dragon and Rhodys' involvement with the infamous bandit Gelios. For their trouble, the group receives 14,070,000 gold, and Reynard takes Yuuji to participate in a meeting led by him concerning the blue dragon that appeared in the canyon. Using his photography, Yuuji has Sura print a picture with the detailed picture of the blue dragon that he saw. Father Stale then reveals the legend behind the dragon and that it'll destroy the land within 3 days. When Reynard asks Stale how the blue dragon was defeated in legends past, Stale claims that a divine emissary whose powers rival the gods would best it. However, any further information is lost because the tome that carried the information was ripped. Reynard speculates that 30 years ago, the church conducted a ritual as a lunar eclipse occurred, and the effects of the ritual would begin 30 years after the fact. It just so happens that 30 years passed a week ago, and the name of the ritual was called the Spirit Summoning Ceremony. Furthermore, the divine emissary has yet to appear, leaving them hopeless. The sky then briefly darkens again, and the slimes report that the blue dragon has grown in size again, and Yuuji relays this to everyone in the meeting. Reynard then declares that the blue dragon would be subjugated at first light. Later, in the dining hall, Yuuji and his slimes eat and are approached by Tiny and Lisa, who inform him that they've joined the blue dragon subjugation squad. When they leave, Stale approaches Yuuji and, in the cathedral, bestows upon Yuuji a dagger relic that he brought from the capital. Yuuji appraises the dagger as the Knife of Kethais, and later in his room, Yuuji recalls what Rizin told him about his magic and thinks about trying something out. Here, this episode ends. This episode opens with Yuuji and his slimes who spring an attack on the dragon. Utilizing protective barrier magic, Yuuji is able to avoid the dragon's attacks, and with his fire magic concentrated in the dagger of Kethais, stabs it in the neck so the explosion kills the dragon instantly. With the dragon mysteriously defeated, Stale leaves but Reynard suspects Yuuji. Having drawn too much attention again, Yuuji leaves for the town of Ricardo, which, according to Tina and Lisa, is a completely ordinary place. Dryad informs Yuuji dead dragons contain something called dragon grace, which has sprouted mushrooms around the corpse with which she can make potions, red to increase sage skills, and blue to restore depleted magic. Dryad recalls when Yuuji and she first met. A flashback shows Yuuji destroying a magical stone that drained Dryad's forest of its energy, and, as thanks, Dryad gave him some of her flowers as a token of her gratitude. In the present, the slimes alert the two that the water has been distilled. Hence, Dryad managed to create 5 sage potions and 2 mana restoration potions. Afterward, Yuuji and his tamed monsters head to Ricardo while navigating through a thick fog. They soon get sidetracked by Proud Wolf picking up a human scent that leads them to a strange settlement where the people all smile at the group. The leader of the place welcomes the group and offers them a place to stay as the fog settles. However, Yuuji declines, citing he'll make his way there soon enough. Although sad, the leader offers him a meal, and it's but a small half-loaf of bread. Noting that he's not hungry, the leader then asks why he's there. Yuuji then answers that the fog led him astray from his destination, and the leader takes it for what it's worth. Before leaving, Yuuji asks what the place's name is, and the leader answers, Meshes. Outside of the village, Yuuji ponders about the strange place they visited. In a hidden room in the village, the leader conveys via an orb about Yuuji that the dragon's grace will be harvested from the canyon. All in the name of the blue moon of salvation. Meanwhile, Yuji's group finally sees Ricardo on the horizon, only to see that the place and the surrounding area are covered in snow. Here, the fourth episode of this series ends. To watch many more exciting recaps like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comment section about the next favorite movie or anime that you would like us to recap. Thanks again for watching, stay safe and healthy.